Welcome to today's Explainer. We've got a deeply emotional story to unpack today, drawn straight from our source material about a family that was completely torn apart. We're going to dive right into the psychology of sudden greed, the raw pain of being betrayed by someone you love, and, well, the incredibly tough, painstaking journey back to forgiveness. It's honestly a story that really holds up a mirror to how we all handle things like grief and money. Now we're jumping right into the thick of it with this totally devastating realization from the younger brother. Just think about it. These two guys grew up together, right? They played together, worked together, basically shared their entire lives. But then, one single event just completely severed that bond, turning lifelong blood relatives into bitter enemies literally overnight. Section 1. A father's dying wish and the betrayal. Look at this contrast. Before the inheritance, it was decades of shared experiences. They were inseparable. But as you can see here, the sheer stress and temptation of an inheritance can completely flip the script, transforming lifelong companions into absolute strangers. The day after their father's funeral, they walked into a lawyer's office as brothers, but man, they certainly did not walk out that way. The father left behind just 3 specific things: a house, a plot of land, and some money. That's it, just those 3 assets. And he left them with a very clear, trusting expectation that they'd be split right down the middle between the older brother Daniel and his younger sibling. Naturally, the younger brother walked into that lawyer's office fully expecting to just honor his dad's final wishes. But things took a turn. A deep-seated sense of entitlement just completely overrode the father's plan. Daniel actually looked at his brother with cold eyes and absolutely shocked him by demanding the whole shebang. He claimed he needed the money to better his own life, basically leaning on his status as the older brother to justify grabbing everything. He completely disregarded his younger brother, the guy who had literally worked right alongside their dad his whole life. For the younger brother, it really wasn't about the money or the land at all. It was this profound, crushing, emotional betrayal. I mean, imagine your own brother, the person you love most in the entire world, essentially telling you that you have absolutely no value, that you just don't matter. It completely shattered his self-worth and totally broke his concept of family. He was actually forced to pack his bags and leave his childhood home. Section 2. The illusion of legal justice. So the younger brother went back to the lawyer, desperately hoping to find some kind of lifeline. But instead, he ran into a really frustrating reality. The lawyer basically told him that, legally speaking, Daniel had all the rights. The wording of the will gave him absolute control. It's a pretty stark reminder, isn't it? Legal justice and moral fairness are very rarely the same thing. So the younger brother was left feeling totally lost, with literally zero recourse. Well, with nowhere else to turn, he went back to his childhood home one last time. He knocked on Daniel's door, fully expecting a bitter, explosive fight. But instead, he found a man heavily burdened by exactly this: remorse. Daniel opened the door, and he just looked incredibly tired and deeply, deeply sad. Section 3. An unexpected apology. After what felt like forever, Daniel finally opened up about the psychological trap he'd fallen into. He admitted that he had been angry and scared, and he genuinely thought that hoarding all that wealth and feeling important would, finally make him happy. But actually, scratch that. It just left him feeling terribly empty. And right then and there, he offered a very quiet but very sincere apology to his brother. Section 4. Rebuilding through small steps. Our source material really stresses that forgiveness is never just a single, poof, everything's fixed event. It's a slow, deliberate series of small actions. Just look at how this timeline spaces out. You've got the initial apology on day 1, right? Then, skipping to week 3, they share a quiet moment of grief looking at an old photograph. By month 2, there's a tangible gesture of returning some of the money. Month 4 brings an honest, tough conversation during a walk. And finally, by month 6, they're actually celebrating together. Piece by piece, they literally dismantled the wall between them. See, rather than just offering empty words, Daniel actively took these specific, tangible steps to prove he meant it. He didn't just say, "I'm sorry." He acknowledged their shared grief over their dad. He actually handed back a small envelope of money with a simple note that said, "This is for Dad." He started fixing up broken things around the house, and he just spent quiet, undemanding time with his brother. These are the real, actionable building blocks you need to rebuild that kind of broken trust. Section 5. A scarred but strong bond. Fast forward a few months, and that crushing weight of the past had honestly finally started to lift. The younger brother realized, they couldn't just erase what happened. The hurt was for sure still there, but the key is it no longer controlled them. By learning how to actually communicate, by facing this absolute betrayal and choosing to survive the worst of it together, their relationship evolved into something else entirely. They weren't those naive brothers of the past anymore. They were something better. They had built this scarred but incredibly strong bond. So this whole story leaves us with a really profound question, one that challenges our own capacity for grace. When your family bonds are pushed to the absolute breaking point, when a betrayal comes from the person you love most in the entire world, could you find the strength to rebuild? It's a pretty powerful thought to end on. Thank you so much for joining me as we unpacked this incredible story of greed, betrayal, and forgiveness. I'll catch you on the next explainer.